Okay, I should be live now. Right? Yeah. Sweet. Alright, cool. Uh, so yeah. Today's gonna be my first actual tech stream on this channel. I've mainly just been doing modeling stuff, but now I'm gonna actually do tech stuff. Because I have a project that I've been working on. Well, I haven't really worked on it too much. I wanted to actually start working out the real kinks on stream. I'm trying to make an underwater ROV for kids to drive for the place that I volunteer at. And I've done robotics, but I've never made an underwater robot before. So this is definitely going to be a new challenge for me. I have no idea how to deal with things like buoyancy. Hey, Green Tea Cat, thanks for popping in. So yeah, hold on. Uh, well, I have three whole people viewing this. Crazy. So yeah, I'm gonna be um doing some research on how buoyancy and other stuff like that works, and nice. And yeah, working out the kinks. So how the heck do RO do underwater? So how the heck? Oh my gosh. RO do underwater? So how the heck? Whoops. Sorry about that. So how the heck do underwater ROVs even work? I don't know. Let's find out. So I know that to make a submarine or anything like that, you need to deal with buoyancy. You also need to have some sort of thrust, and you need degrees of freedom when it comes to movement. All right. Well, let's just start with the basics of how a submarine even works, because I've never really built one before. I mean, that wasn't from a kid or something. So, do submarines work? I know it's really basic, but you gotta start from the ground up with these things, because otherwise, at least for me, I gotta. Okay, Britannica Kids. Wow. Oh, history. I don't need history. Don't want to have to watch a video on stream. I don't know how that works. Okay, let's go to good old Reddit. uh, okay. Well, maybe I asked way too broad of a question here. So, hmm, does it get air to be buoyant? I mean, that is a good question. How does it get air to be buoyant again? I've heard that you can get syringes, and like if you want to make a really tiny submarine, you can like get a syringe, get a linear actuator, and like move the syringe, fill it with water, and then that will sort of increase and decrease the buoyancy. But I don't know how that would work for if you're trying to keep it entirely contained in the submarine. Also, water pressure gets higher the deeper underwater you get. So I don't really know how to deal with that either, because if you're trying to keep your sub neutrally buoyant, you're going to have a differing level of buoyancy the further down you go. So you're going to need some sort of like tank. And I don't want to have to do compressed air, because this ROV I'm trying to design is not going to be that complicated. So, okay, let's see. Modern boats make their oxygen electrolytically. Okay, so they're talking about like compressed air tanks and stuff like that. Maybe simple underwater ROV. Build your own. Sure, I'll take a look. I do have one built right now. I like the little hippo guy. I do have one built right now, an underwater ROV, but it's one, it's from a kit. Two, it's made out of PVC pipe. And three, it's super weak. So right now, I tested it at the tank of the place I volunteer at, and it is super freaking wimpy. And also the cord that is attached to it has like when you put more of the cord under the water, it goes it makes the whole ROV sink, and it didn't even have power to raise itself back out of the water. House hippo, cute. Also, welcome to all those viewing. I'm trying to learn how to make an underwater ROV, just like a little DIY submarine, basically. What's that? What's the link? Okay, so I'm gonna actually read this now. Well, read is a strong word. I'm gonna skim it. uh, okay, so is this literally just like a step-by-step instruction on how to make this specific ROV? Okay, so let's work something out here. I wish I was streaming like an actual drawing pad. Like, I'm not used to digital art, but you know, it's fine. We make do. Play 3000. I'm just gonna do like a rough sketch of what I'm thinking here. So, give me a second. Oh. So, basically, what I'm trying to do, our current underwater ROV, it at the place I volunteer at, sort of looks a little like this. This is gonna be a really rough and beautiful sketch, by the way. Wait. If I pull up the video in the chat, I mean, is the audio not gonna overlap? Okay, I'll explain this first, then I'll click on the video and I'll watch it. So, the RV we have at my place right now sort of looks a little like this. It's like got some PVC like this. These are like the flotation. That's supposed to be an A. Beautiful. And you get the point. So it's got some PVC like that, flotation. It's got a little like camera. It's got like a little mat like this, and it's got like a camera right here. Oh wow, that's really hard to see. Camera like that. And it's got the wires for the motors. I don't know where exactly the motors are. I think they're mounted like here, and like somewhere in the, well, that was ugly. It's somewhere in the middle. And the wires are all running out the back, and they're attached to a little like flotation. Like they have little pool noodles on them to keep the wires floating up like this. Let's say this is the top of the water, right? So it's like that, and the wire just goes off to the control center where the kids can control it, right? So the problem with this design, well, there's two different problems. First off, the wires coming out of the back of the ROV, they tend to pull the ROV in the direction of the wires. So like there's always a constant force on the ROV in the direction of the wires. So when you want to like look around and change your perspective, it always gets like dragged back, you know? Beautiful arrow, beautiful arrow. That's one problem. The second problem is that the tank that this ROV is in has like a bunch of little plastic sea life and stuff to like look around at, which is great and all, but the cord gets caught on it super easy. And also, the kids will spin the thing in a circle and the wires will get all tangled up. Wow, 4 viewers, this is crazy. But yeah, the thing will get they'll get tangled up in a circle, and then one of the staff, like me or something, will have to go and untangle the thing, and it takes like 5 minutes. It's just like, okay, we need some sort of design change here because clearly this isn't working. All right, I drew the thing. I'll watch the video. Hold on, let me find out how to do that. Click. Ah, the house hippo. Oh, I think I've seen this.
All is quiet. Or is it? The North American house hippo is found throughout Canada and the eastern United States.
I remember this.
House hippos are very timid creatures and are rarely seen.
Yeah, I think I've seen one of these house hippos in my place.
Provoked. They come out at night to search for food, water, and materials for their nests.
Yes.
The favorite foods of the house hippo are chips, raisins, and the crumbs from peanut butter on toast.
I think I might be a house hippo,
They build their nests in bedroom closets, using lost mittens, dryer lint, and bits of string. The nests have to be very soft and warm. House hippos sleep about 16 hours a day.
That looked really real.
And it is real. We don't need to go any further on that. House hippos are real. Totally real. Did he actually think that was real as a kid? That's hilarious. You know, if I saw that young enough, I would have thought it was real. I mean, it is real. That's why I would have thought that. So, anyway, back to the ROV designing. Oh, make a new layer here. I'm gonna give me a second. I'm gonna make my arts look, my notes look fancy. So let's call this the water. Water. A new ROV 1. Alright, now let's do ROV 2, which is the design that I'm thinking of right now. Though, I will gladly take suggestions or anything like that, if anybody has them. If not, and you're just chilling here to watch, please, feel free, because I hardly know what I'm doing. So, alright. So, for the ROV design that I was thinking of for this, well, there's two problems I want to address, which is the cord, first off. So, the cord's going to come down. It has to have the little flotation rings like this. Yeah. But I want the cord, say this is nondescript ROV, right? Oh, it's a little long. Beautiful. I just made it uglier. Oh god. Anyway. I want the chords for this to sort of come down instead of from the back, like here. Whoa. You get the point. instead of from the back right there, I want it to sort of come out the top of the ROV so that the chords would only really be pulling it up instead of to the side. I mean, if the ROV moves over to the side, it would still pull it a little bit to the side, but it wouldn't be nearly as much. So that's one thing I want to do. But also, I was considering doing, what is it called? Oh, the cord. I was considering looking into having the cord be able to swivel. So, like, right here, have it on some sort of track. It's not directly plugged into the motors. So, like, let's say the motors are here, right? And the one's on the other side. So, these wouldn't run in directly to this, but there'd be some sort of, like, wireless terminal. Here, let me color it differently. There'd be some sort of, like, wireless terminal here that would communicate to the motors just inside of this. Like, I know that wireless signals do not travel very well underwater, but I think if it's close enough, it could be fine. So, the idea of this is so that if let's say a kid would to spin the ROV, right? ROV spinning like so. Then the track, like this spot where the wire's coming out, would be able to stand still while the ROV is spinning and not make it get tangled up in its own wire, right? It's like, let's say this is where the motor is now. So I wanted to do that, and then the wireless little button at the end would talk to the motors. It'd still just be down there. Now, one thing I'd have to consider is this would need to be run by a battery, which would need to be, because the other ROV, like ROV1, all the power for this is above ground, well, above water, right? It gets all its power and it talks to the computer up there through the wire. But with this ROV design, the computer would be up here, but it wouldn't be able to provide power. Like the computer and the controls would be up here, but it wouldn't be able to provide power. So you would need to have some sort of watertight battery, and you need to have a convenient way of charging it, right? So that is one potential issue for that. But I don't think it's undoable. It just might be a little harder to maintain, which is the issue. Okay, so it would need a battery if I did it this way. If I didn't have this little swivel and instead I just did like the wire directly into the motor, the kids could still tangle it up, but I still think it would be better than if it came out the back because it wouldn't put as much force on it. Wait, TikTok got banned? Oh, wait. I was hearing about that. I thought the ban wasn't supposed to happen for another, like, 2 days. I thought it was supposed to happen on, like, the 19th or something. Well, I never really did TikTok, so I don't know. It doesn't affect me too much. I mean, I guess it's nice that I don't have to make a TikTok for my Twitch account. So that's cool, I guess. But yeah, no, I mean, that does kind of suck. It's so funny that they're like, you have to buy, like, you have to sell your company to us, or we'll just ban it. That people, people confuse me. Politics, my brain doesn't work on politics. So, anyway. So, I'm sort of torn between these two designs, but design is a loose term. I haven't designed anything. Um, I have a kit, which I wonder if I could get my camera to. Oh, it worked in Canada. Nice. I wonder if I can get my actual like camera so I can show you what my current ROV looks like. But it's basically the exact same thing as this one, but this one's a little fancier. Like instead of instead of these little like air-filled tanks that the one at my place has, mine has like pool noodles for flotation and like a pool noodle down there on the mat for to keep the wires down and for flotation. But yeah, so matter of the wire tangling, that's how I want to address that. And for the matter of getting this thing to dive deep enough, I know the current ROV that I have, it two things. It when it gets further down, water pressure gets higher, neutral buoyancy starts forcing it up, right? But also, if you have a cord that is attached to the top like this, it's going to exert more force on it the deeper the ROV goes, right? So I'm gonna need, I don't know if I need some way to change buoyancy, or maybe if I should just have it be less than neutrally buoyant. I'm not entirely sure. Also, I don't know how easy it would be to change the buoyancy. So, okay, let's make like a list of things that I want to do. I guess we'll call this underwater ROV requirements. Sure, why not? So, what do I need for this? Cable from the top, I'd say. Cable from top. Well, actually, no, that's not a requirement. Needs to be tangle resistant. Needs to resist being pulled by the cable. Needs to be tangle resistant, needs to be able to resist being pulled by the cable, needs to maintain depth at least a little. What else does it need to do? Well, it needs to have a camera, but that's sort of a given, but I'll put it in. Needs to have a camera mount. Oh, the camera needs to be able to live feed. I don't know if that's going to work if I use the wireless. Okay, I'll put it in. Camera needs to live feed to control console. In dots. No. I hate it when they do this. I'm just going to copy that. There we go. What else do you think that I would need for this? Because at the end of the day, it needs to be able to be driven by kids. It needs to be relatively easy to maintain. And, I mean, that's really the only requirements. This thing needs to be bulletproof. So, also, I prefer it to be cheaper, so maybe set a budget. Budget. What would be a reasonable budget for this? I don't really know. I don't know the price of waterproof motors. So, here, let's look that up. Waterproof propeller electric motor. Oh, it's one word. I knew that. Okay, so brushless. Okay, so that's 15, but what's the thrust on this thing? So it's 3 inches long. 3 inches, how big is 3 inches? It's about, I know you can't see what I'm doing with my hands. It's about like yay big. Oh, I think my VTuber model is freaking out there for a second. Okay, so it needs to be, well, the important part is the thrust. I don't know how much buoyancy I'm gonna need for thrust. And I also don't know if I'm gonna maintain thrust. Okay, so do you know how a drone, if you've ever flown a drone, they have like the little flight controller where the propellers maintain a certain, oh, that'd be a problem if I had this thing rely on battery, huh? if this thing had to rely on battery, then a kid could very easily leave on the propellers and walk away and drain this thing of battery completely. Oh, I didn't think of that. Okay. I'm gonna put that as a requirement. Needs to be kid proof. Needs to be operable for at most. They're open 9 to 4. How many hours is that? 1, 2, 3, 7. 7 hours. Okay, so it needs to be operable for 7 hours at most. So that probably takes the battery idea out of the question entirely. Unfortunate. But I mean, maybe not. But okay, let's just get our requirements down first. Okay, so got our so these are $15. I don't know how powerful they are. Of course, I didn't look too long. 1,000 kilovolt? That's not kilovolts, is it? Really? Really? I'm not a robot, I'm just trying to make one. Okay. Yeah, no. What does the kV mean? 1,000 kilovolts would be absolutely insane for a motor. Okay. So it's 24 volts and 12 volts. Okay. So it probably takes a max of 24 volts. 200 watts. So honestly don't remember what it means for it to be. I think it takes like a decent amount of power. There's no like amp limit, but I think there's an equation for that. But okay, horsepower. But how much thrust? How much thrust does it produce? Does it say? Well, based off its size, how big are you? How big are you? 2.3 mil. Oh, no, 20 millimeter, 62 millimeter diameter. I'm an American. I don't. How big is that? 20 millimeters. It's like a third of a meter. That's not a third of a meter. Oh my god. It's a fifth of a meter. Right? Yeah. So it's like a little less than 20. Oh, it's millimeters, not centimeters. Okay, this thing's tiny. Yeah, I can't go with this. Okay, so if I want to get like the bigger, nicer motors, then these things are gonna start costing some dosh. But it seems like a general idea for how big these are, or how big these are gonna have to be, are like, I mean the price, not how big. It's around like $30-ish for the motors. The camera, I could just hook up the one that they have there. If I'm gonna stick with using motors, I could just use, well, I could just go there and see what motors they have, but let's, for now, budget, let's say, of at most, where's the dollar sign? There it is. 300? That might be a good number. 300 for the budget. Mostly, I mean, basically all be in the motors and like the cable, right? We'll try to stick to that budget for now. Okay, so budget of 300. It needs to, okay, needs to be kid proof. Needs to be operable for at most 7 hours. Needs to have a camera and a camera mount. Camera needs to be able to live feed. It needs to be controllable by a console. I mean, that's sort of a given, but I'll put it in anyway. Needs to be controllable. I can't frickin' spell. By a console. And above water console. Tingle resistant. I should specify. Board needs to be tingle resistant. ROV needs to resist being pulled by the cable. Somehow. Needs to be able to maintain depth. Camera. Kid proof. Operable for 7 hours. Budget of 300. I think that's everything. I could add like a... maybe I can add like a stretch goal. Okay, so... Here. I'll do like main goals and then stretch goals. So, oops. I guess I should title this right. Underwater. Underwater work. ROV or volunteer base. Okay.